Man, let me tell you. I am fucking next level pissed. Like, I am on the fucking warpath against all these little faggoty cunts. We're going on and on about how, guys, we shouldn't stoop to their level. We
Oh yeah,
shouldn't.
I've seen that. I've seen that discourse
All
today.
this. And so I guess the right likes cancel culture too, slop. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? First of all, this is a war, so yes, you use weapons in war. Secondly, I've seen great fucking takes on this being about like, think about the fact that right wingers online like have to use anonymity. I say way more base things than you do, and I just go by Snack. And on Twitter, I damn sure don't use my real name. I don't use any identifying information at all on anything
Yeah, that's fine,
because,
Reggae. I'm sure you didn't, Reggae. That's fine. It happens.
right, yeah. But like, the point is, if you have even slightly to the right of Mao opinions, your job's in danger, your safety is in danger. Like, I'll never be able to forget my dad wanted to buy a MAGA hat, but I had to fucking talk him out of it because I'm like, Dad, we live in California. Someone will attack you.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. And like, what the guy was saying is he's all like, what you do is you do the same shit because like this isn't like normie centrist lefty opinions. This is literally advocating for the assassination of the president. That's not a good thing. That's actually a very bad thing. And trying to go cancel culture is fucking retarded because it's like, hey guys, I have a question. Can anyone point out any time in the entire history of the country where advocating for the assassination of the president would not have ended up with you being considered a dick and like possibly getting fired from your job, getting a visit from the police, you
Yeah.
know? When has that ever not been the case? Cancel culture is when 15 years ago you call somebody a slut jokingly on Twitter and then you get Me Too'd over it 15 years later. Cancel culture is when Count Dankula has his life ruined because he had a tiny little YouTube channel and he made a joke about teaching his girlfriend's dog to raise its paw like a Hitler salute every time he said gas to Jews just to piss her off because he thought that was funny. And then they tried to ruin his life over it. That's cancel culture. Not somebody advocating for the assassination of the president and then they lose their job for that.
Yeah. Well,
That's a big
I
no-no.
mean, here's my thing. Like the whole defense of it being like edgy humor or whatever. A lot of this is just like, well, where's the joke? I'm not seeing a joke there. Like a lot of
Right.
these things that
Like,
people are getting in trouble for, I don't consider them jokes. They're just statements.
yeah, a good example is Destiny on his Twitter today was going on and on fucking mindlessly about how, oh my god, so the right really does believe in cancel culture so much for believing in freedom of speech and all this kind of crap. And it's like he says that shit, but then he turns off the comments specifically so that people don't respond to him to call him a manlet cuck
Hmm.
because he's going on and on about that shit and it's all like, hey man, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm sitting here like, guys, no one ever advocated being the ones to start cancel culture, but it's here and it's never going to go away. We're in the middle of a war right now. The fucking the info war, the culture war, all of this shit, and it's like they're the left themselves say there are no bad tactics, only bad targets. But when you're at the same time you're trying to change the culture to the point where it's all like having extremist left-wing views should force them into anonymity and freeze them out, the same way that having extremist right-wing views has already occurred over the last 15 years. You know? So it's all like, if you sit there and you say, I think rich people should have to pay more in taxes and blah, 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 tax the rich and blah, 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 whatever dumbass opinion, fine, whatever. Perfectly normal lefty attitude, whatever. No one's going to lose their job over that. But if you gleefully cheer on the attempted assassination of the president, you should probably be considered a dickbag.
Yeah, the whatever the dude name is in Tenacious D, I don't know his name.
Kyle Gass.
Kyle Gass. Like this idea that like, oh, he got in trouble because he told a joke, and you
Wasn't a
know,
joke.
I look at that and it's like, I don't. That's not a joke. That's just a statement. It's like if you go up
Right.
to a person and say your mother is fat, like that's not a joke. That's just a statement. You need to actually like there needs to be the
The
joke in there somewhere.
the reason they say it's a joke is because they thought it was funny. And it's all like, you being a complete asshole doesn't make that a joke. In much the same way that many of the racist jokes I enjoy, that you find shocking and appalling, well, there's a reason I don't attach my name to that. Because I know that I'd be fired if I shared a Foxford comic under my real name. However, it is actually fucking hilarious. But, like, that's the whole point, is it's like, do to them what they did to us.
Like, you know, just as an example off the top of my head, so Amy Schumer hosted the Oscars the year that Will Smith slapped Chris
Right.
Rock, right?
Mhm.
And after the Oscars were over, she shared some jokes that she wrote that she wanted to use that they didn't let her use because they were too edgy. And that was the year the movie Don't Look Up came out. I don't know if you remember that movie at all. It was DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence. It was basically a movie about a giant asteroid coming to destroy Earth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so she had a joke that was basically the gist of the joke was don't look up, more like don't look down into the barrel of Alec Baldwin's shotgun. Now, that's a really fucking stupid joke. It doesn't really make sense. Especially because Alec Baldwin didn't even use a shotgun, he used a
I was
revolver.
just about to say, there's a lot wrong with that.
But at least it's a joke. At least I can see, like, okay, you were trying to be funny, but you probably shouldn't. Okay, I would be okay
Right.
with something like that.
The attempt was made, but black, because Amy Schumer. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And like the big one I'm having a huge problem with, which I love seeing people bring it up over and over again, is it's like, straight up, we don't need dickless fags like you in our movement. Go vote for RFK and fucking piss up a rope or some shit. Because what we want and what Trump has been talking about, what Trump was actively fucking talking about when he got fucking shot, is mass deportations. So knowing that the left is gonna, oh my god, look at this heartbreaking picture of a crying brown man that's gonna make you completely forget about the Constitution. Like, how the fuck are you gonna have the stomach for mass deportations if somebody doing something they should absolutely fucking get fired over results in them getting fired? And you're like, oh man, that's terrible. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking stupid? If I said the exact same shit about Obama 15 years ago, absolutely would have lost my fucking job. Some fucking boomer in Utah said the same shit about Biden, so the fucking ATF and FBI kicked his fucking door in and literally shot him to death and dragged his body out into the street and left it to rot for 4 hours in the sun while they pulled all of the guns that he owned out of his house. But the thing is, the guy was a 74-year-old morbidly obese dude who used a mobility scooter,
Yeah.
so he wasn't a threat to anybody. But the thing is, they said he was actively a threat to Biden because Biden was making a speech in Salt Lake City later that day, and this guy lived in a city that was 60 miles away. And they said that that guy was a threat to Biden. The 74-year-old man in the mobility scooter. For saying the same kind of shit that that lady just got fired from Home Depot for. And it's like, she should be fucking glad that the only thing happened to her is that she got fired, and not that she got fucking ventilated by the FBI. Life goes on. While it may be of a lower quality, that doesn't really matter on account of the fact that it's your own fucking fault. Like, there are certain things that you don't say, you know? Holy fuck. So all these fucking dickless twats being like, oh well, we shouldn't blah blah blah, and I'm all like, well, you fuck off. Seriously.
Jesus Christ, this game is huge. I think this game's map is bigger than Morrowind.
Yeah, the game is absolutely massive, and it gets even bigger. It just continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole thing. Is like it was all about exploration because it was so massive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do you think that Biden's, as everyone's talking about, oh my God, he's got COVID? Do you think this is an excuse for him to step down?
Every indication is he's not willing to. As of latest, he's said, "I'm the nominee. I'm running. Everyone, fuck off."
And I completely agree. It's just the only reason I bring that up is because all the media wants to talk about is, will this make Biden drop out? And I know that's because they want attention and money and all that kind of shit. But it's like, these are the same people who've been caping up for him for 4 years. They all got the message that apparently he's supposed to go. And, you know, that doesn't mean anything to him. You know, he certainly doesn't have to get with the program if he doesn't want to.
Well,
But I'm like, how
it's
long are they going to...
simple as they think he's going to lose, and they don't want to lose. I think it's that simple.
Yeah, and just how long is this going to keep going on? Because you got to think about it in this sense. With the constant non-stop fucking harping on about this retarded shit, if he genuinely does not drop out, which would be great, but if he didn't, and they spend months talking about how he should drop out, how does that do anything other than hurt him even more? Like,
well, they're trying to force him into a situation where he literally can't drop out. They're doing a virtual roll call next week, and if that happens, he's on the ballot in Ohio and nobody else can be.
Right.
So if that happens, then they'll probably just be like, well, I guess we're just stuck. We got to go with it and hope that things work out.
I was reading a report that said that Ohio recently changed their policy.
They did.
The deadline is September 1st.
Yes, but the Biden team can still use it as an excuse to force him through early. So they're going to. Nate Silver got in a fight with fucking the head of the DNC on Twitter about this yesterday. I don't know. I linked some of it to you. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just a thing where it's basically like, well, if I do this, then nobody can take it away from me. It's over. And, you know, I don't... Obviously, that's really shitty, but who cares? And, I mean, him having COVID could also be, like, an excuse for him to just go hide for a couple weeks. And then just come back after the nomination process is over. And then just be like, well, we can stop talking about this shit now.
That would be hilarious also. You know, just make it even more obvious that you're not running the country. By the way, I've made it a personal sticking point of mine. I don't give a shit about the consequences. Anyone who tries to argue that the attempts was staged, I will fucking stand my ground and scream at them. Like, I already got kicked out of a number of different Discords today, and I got heated with one guy at work because he was trying to talk that shit, and I'm like, don't you fucking say that.
He doesn't need to stage anything. He's already winning. Like, that's what I think these people don't understand. They thought, oh, he's a big underdog, so he's trying to do something to equalize. And it's like, he doesn't need to do something like this to win a race. Like, why would he risk that when exposure of a fake shooting would be so embarrassing, it would probably hurt him tremendously.
The reason that they think it's staged is because he took the time to raise his arm to the crowd before he left. And I'm like, you are a pea-brain if you think that's the case. Because you weren't watching it live and I was. The people watching it live are people who like Trump. The people who are watching it live are people who like Trump as their hero. I'm in the kitchen getting food. I hear my mother scream. I go into the living room and I see that Trump has taken cover and the Secret Service is over him. So my mom's like fucking hyperventilating because she thinks that she just saw him got shot. And like no one knows what's going on. They just know that he got shot and they saw blood. No one knows what's going on. They just see the Secret Service is like fucking on top of him. No one knows what's happening. So he gets up and he shows the crowd that he's okay. It's like when a fucking NASCAR driver gets into a crash and then he waves to the crowd to let them know that he's alright because they're terrified that he's fucking Dale Earnhardt, you know? They don't want to see somebody die right in front of them. That shit's traumatizing. And he did that specifically because there's people at home like my mother who were freaking the fuck out who needed to calm down because they wanted to know that he was all right. And I'm like, you're watching this 4 hours later on the news? Is it going to hit the same way? Because you know already that he's fine. So you're going to be like, why is he doing that? You have a room temperature IQ. Like, I can't believe these people, but that's the mindset. They're like, oh, well, it was obviously staged because he posed for the photo op. And I'm like, are you stupid?
I mean, honestly, this might be the most well-documented assassination attempt ever. Like, you even have a picture of the bullet.
Because it's the only one that's taken place in the current era of high technology. There were thousands of photographs taken after that happened. One of them is being circulated because an AP reporter who was very knowledgeable and very skilled saw his opportunity to win a Pulitzer, but everybody who was there knew that they were witnessing something that was going to go down in the fucking history books. Everybody who was there knew that they were witnessing something that years from now people would be like, where were you when you heard? This was one of those type of moments. So they're all like, why do you pose for the photo op? And I'm like, you cannot be that fucking stupid. That's why I scream at people. Because I'm all like, I'm not going to let you walk away and be that fucking retarded and try to spread this retardation because of exactly that fucking mindset from the cancel culture stuff I was talking about earlier. And it's like, you fucking shout at these people and confront them every single time you get the opportunity to because you don't let them spread that bullshit around and make them think that it's okay to talk that kind of mess. Because all of us know Kyle Gass damn well wishes that the assassin did not miss. And damn well hopes that somebody tries again soon and doesn't miss. Him apologizing doesn't mean that he doesn't feel that way. It means he's concerned about the damage it's done to his career, and he's really worried about his future prospects. But all it's really taught him is that he needs to be careful who he says that around, not that he needs to change his mind on that kind of thing. Especially given his age, it's not like he's gonna fucking have some kind of late life epiphany or anything. But you know what? That's fine, because you can't control how people think. But what you can do is sit there and say, I'm going to make damn good and sure that this fucking opinion ain't allowed. You know? Like, you can't sit there and fucking question 6 million, but you can sit there and say, I think that assassination attempt was staged. Are you fucking kidding me? It's illegal to bring up wooden doors, but you can't fucking... You're not allowed to... Because, like... No one's sitting there actually firing the guy either. The only thing they're doing is saying, hey, Home Depot, have you seen this footage of your employee? And they said, oh, this person no longer works for... We terminated her for her comment. The fucking guy on Twitter didn't do that. Home Depot did.
I mean, also consider that, you know, it might not even be what Home Depot wants to do. They might have to. They're like, well, we're going to lose a lot of customers to Lowe's if we don't. Like they might be... It's like when Elon Musk demonetized Destiny on Twitter. They were grilling him about it, and he's like, "It's the advertisers, dude. Like, it's not really even my call. The
Yeah,
advertisers. Like, I didn't ban him.
absolutely.
I just demonetized him."
Right. Hi, Austin. Yeah, exactly what you were talking about. Like, remember, Twitter banned Alex Jones and InfoWars. Twitter banned Donald Trump. Elon brought them back. So he brought them back because he believes people should be allowed to say stuff. He just doesn't think that they should make money because that's his olive branch to the advertisers, like you're saying. But yeah, if you say dumb shit, you're gonna.
Hmm. Like, if there was a TV show, and there probably is a TV show that is basically doing what I'm about to describe, that just has characters go on screen and then they just say fart, piss, shit, cum, period, blood, and then nobody watches it, and the writers are just like, "What? You don't like edgy jokes?" And it's like, "Well, you didn't write a joke. That's not a joke. It's like, it's not even a bad joke. It's just not a joke. You didn't write
Right.
anything." So when Kyle Gass says, Kyle Gass says, "Don't miss next time" or whatever, like that. Where's the joke?
Right. There's no punchline there.
Yeah. Again, it's like going up to somebody and saying you're fat. Like, that's not a joke. That's just a statement.
Right. A good example actually is Destiny, since we were just talking about him. I remember this moment is huge because all of you guys watching this on Twitch right now are very familiar because you're Twitch watchers. You're very familiar with the concept of someone donating money or subscribing, whatever. Also comes with it a text-to-speech
Hmm.
thing activating so that whatever their message was, it gets read out by the text-to-speech thing. Destiny was the first person to do that. There's a video you can find on the internet, but I was there the day that it happened. He was celebrating his birthday, so he decided to try something new, which was if you donate to me a minimum of at least this much in a donation, then the text-to-speech program will read out your donation on stream. So as you can imagine, because it was the very first time that this kind of thing happened, and that Destiny's viewer base used to be people from 4chan, it was a lot of vile stuff. So, like,
Hmm.
a lot of it was dark humor, but it was, you could sit there and say that it was dark humor, but it was, like, really gross stuff. The kind of thing that, like, if people want to laugh at it, you can get it, because, like you said, it actually is, like, trying to be structured as a joke.
Hmm.
But if you don't laugh at it and you just think that it's disgusting and despicable, that's also understandable because it's disgusting and despicable. For instance, the one I'll never be able to forget is because Destiny laughed the hardest at this one. It was, "Hey, Destiny, what do you do after you've licked the softest, sweetest pussy in all the world? You put it back in the crib." And Destiny lost his fucking mind from that one. Now, like I said, it's structured as a joke. It's whatever. If you think that's a great joke, if you're into that kind of dark humor, you go, ha ha ha, that's great. And if you don't and you think, wow, that's fucking despicable, Jesus Christ, that's also understandable. But Destiny tries to hide behind that whole thing of edgy jokes and dark humor when literally the only thing he said is, "I am glad that that man at the rally was murdered because he supports Donald Trump." That's not a joke. That's just literally the only thing that he said.
Right. Again, there's like nothing there.
There's a world of difference between what was actual edgy humor, dark jokes, stuff that Destiny used to do, versus that. Voting for him, 45th and 47th, not 48th.
I think that's assuming that Biden's going to be forced to step down and Kamala will be 47.
Fair enough.
for like a couple of months, which I wonder if there's a scenario, I don't even know if this can happen, but Biden loses the election and he decides to just like, as a, just on a lark, he's just like, okay, let's have the first female president for 2 months during the lame duck period. And Kamala's career is basically over, so she's like, yeah, sure, it's better than nothing. I wonder if that could happen.
It would be really funny. However, I don't think that it would happen because Hillary would pitch a holy fit, and she's still powerful in that party.
Why would she get mad about that? It's none of her business.
Because what they would do is they would have taken her life's work and what she feels she was cheated out of, because she still to this day tries to say that Donald Trump only won off of some crazy bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they would have turned the first female president into a joke. Because like you said, they're like, hey, whatever, let me just step down during the lame duck period. It doesn't matter because she's not going to be able to get anything done anyway, and her career's over anyway. So she's literally just going to sit there and chill for 2 months because she got a participation trophy. She wouldn't not pitch a holy fit. She'd be fucking batshit fucking pissed. Anyway, Austin, Trump doesn't think you should be killed because you're not religious.
Trump is
J.D.
not
Vance.
that. Yeah, Trump is not that religious. Like,
Yeah.
Understand.
Right.
Like,
J.D. Vance thinks you should be killed because you're not religious. He is just the vice president.
Yeah, I heard this take before and I agree with it. That's kind of the irony of the whole abortion debate. Biden doesn't like abortion, but he has to support it for political reasons. And Trump probably, well, I don't want to say likes abortion, but supports abortion, but has to be against it for political purposes.
Yeah. Biden's got to be the worst Catholic of all time, too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
the only time that he met the Pope in person in his life, he shit his pants.
do you know how many Catholic presidents we've had in the history of the country, by the way?
Biden's the second.
Yeah, that blew me away because so many people are Catholic. I can't believe it's only 2.
It is genuinely because of this. Because of how important the Pope is in Catholicism. The concern was that if you vote for a Catholic and he's president, then the Pope will basically be the president. Because if the Pope tells the president to do something, he has to just do it. That was the mindset for a very long time, and it was one of the arguments people used against JFK when he was running. They were like, I don't think that JFK would be a good president because he's Catholic. The country would be run from the Vatican. And I think that that's an extremely dubious proposition in the first place. Because of the times that we live in. If the United States happened to be a country in the year 1200, that may have had some validity. But the Pope doesn't do anything in terms of politics anymore. I don't have a clue why the fuck people would harp on about that.
Although I think Obama's always said that he's non-denominational Christian, so I guess he could be anything. He just never really wanted to say what he was. And you can find that as suspicious as you want it to be, I guess. I think he's the only president to not be specific about what branch of Christianity he belonged to. If I recall correctly. Everyone else is like, oh, I'm a Methodist, I'm a Quaker, I'm a whatever, but Obama was like non-denominational Christian. I think.
Because Alright, I forgot what I was gonna say because I was reading a stupid post on Twitter.
Stupid post on Twitter. That doesn't narrow it down very much.
Just There's a ton of different threads that I'm in that I'm fucking
Dude, the fucking
dumbasses
Secret
with.
Service memes today have been great. I don't know if you've seen them, but the slope.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. According to the FBI, which take it with as many grains of salt as you wish because it's the FBI in current year,
Mm-hmm.
but their investigation, they reported today, they have an explanation for why the roof wasn't covered, and it wasn't the slope thing that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that the roof wasn't covered is because the Secret Service didn't have the manpower to cover every building, which is well documented. Trump's been asking for more people in his detail for months, and Biden's been trying to cut his detail for months. It's well documented. You know, everybody's aware of that. So what the Secret Service does is they contract out when they need help and more manpower to local police. That building was covered by local police. 3 hours previously, local police were on that roof. The thing is, they were too hot. So, without leaving anybody up there, they decided they were going to climb down from the roof and go inside the building because the building is still secure because there's a team inside the building. They're just not on the roof, which was also the reason for the delay. Why the Secret Service counter snipers saw the gunman and didn't shoot immediately. Why he was just looking at him for, you know, he had him in scope for 30 seconds before the shots were fired, and they were looking at him for 3 minutes beforehand. It's because as they were looking at the guy, they didn't know if he was one of the local police or not. And they were trying like hell to get confirmation on who the fuck was up there, but there was so much noise because you had people in the crowd who were trying to get attention and say, hey, there's a guy up there on the roof. So everyone's talking about the roof, the roof. They're like, is this one of the police? What the fuck's going on? And there's just all this confused screaming and too much noise, and no one's shutting the fuck up, and everyone's just fucking screeching autistically into the earpiece. That they were like, we don't have a fucking clue who that is, just watch him. And then as soon as he started shooting, that removed all doubt, so then they instantly waxed the guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that all sounds very believable. I think I could believe all that. The problem
It's
is
just
nobody's
that it's the FBI saying it, right?
Nobody's been fired yet. If that's the case, then somebody should still get fired, and we haven't seen
Yes.
that yet. So,
Because like the sniper himself is like, well, he couldn't just shoot because if he thought that those were cops, he would have had every justification to, given the circumstances. It's definitely one of those things of like, with the benefit of hindsight, you can think about things a lot easier. He's not wearing the uniform. The kid had hair, had shoulder-length hair, and police officers don't have shoulder-length hair. Plus, and this is the most egregious thing, the police are not looking down scope directly at the stage. Because there's no threat on the stage. You're looking elsewhere. You're looking in the crowd. You're looking around. You're looking at the other buildings. You're looking at the roof. You're looking in the trees. You're not looking at the stage. Why the fuck? Like, the stage is the most heavily protected area. Because that's where all the on-the-ground Secret Service agents who are ready to jump to his aid if anything happens are stationed. So if somebody, like, with a knife tried to jump him, it wouldn't work. Why the fuck would you be looking at the stage? Again, it's one of those things where it's like, with the benefit of hindsight, everything seems so clear. Why the fuck didn't you do this, that, these, or those? But in the moment, the only thing that agent is thinking is, fuck, man, I don't know if that's a cop. Because if it's not a cop, then this is actually an assassination attempt, and this is one of the biggest moments of my life. But if that is a cop and I just take the shot without confirmation, then my life is ruined. I go to jail, my career's over. You know, all the sort of shit, like his life is over. But I'm with you, why the fuck aren't people being fired? Definitely. But, the thing is if all of that is true, then this whole fucking thing happened because the police were too uncomfortable on that roof. And if that's the case, then all of them should not only be fired, but they genuinely should do jail time. Because this isn't like when you're working at some job and then you do something stupid like gee whiz, I accidentally ate somebody else's lunch in the break room. I didn't see his name on it. My bad.
Or you think
No,
it's Nutsack Monday on Tuesday.
right. Which has happened to, I think, all of us. This instead is a case of such extreme negligence that you damn near resulted in the most high-profile assassination in the history of the entire planet. That should 100% be criminal negligence, and at the absolute fucking least, you should spend the weekend in jail just to get it on your record. Have to pay a huge fine and be on probation. And of course, again, because you are a cop, having a criminal record means that you'd never be able to work as a cop again. Country, like a lot of people were confused about the guy that was up there. But again, what the people who were, most of the law enforcement had said that they weren't able to see someone up there, and the people that could, like the counter sniper that fucking killed him, wasn't sure if he was a cop or not. If anything, if this shows anything, it's the problem with contracting out local police to supplement the ranks in a security situation, because there's very clearly not a clear chain of command going on here. Very clearly not adequate, just communication, adequate fucking anything. Like, it's a complete clown show, start to finish. Okay, in an actual serious answer, Austin, the answer would have been Nikki Haley. Because she was the only other person who ran who won any delegates at all. However, that's in the kind of weird alternate reality universe that we live in, where it wouldn't just immediately result in a civil war. Because you're talking about, like, tens of millions of Americans who've been waiting their entire lives for something like this to happen, and the first fucking thing that would have happened as soon as they got the news is they would have gone right outside and just started doing what they've been prepping for fucking decades.
Yeah, because you're not going to be able to replace him. Like, even somebody like DeSantis, who I think has a potentially good future. Depends on what he does from here on out. But you can't really replace him. You're just kind of like... It's not like you can just sub in somebody who is able to motivate voters and followers the same way. You're just not. So I'm inclined to agree.
The sad thing is that if Pence wasn't a snake, he would have been the perfect heir to the throne. Because he had an extraordinary resume and a lot of positives. The only thing he needed was just to be taught how to be fucking tough, how to win by Donald Trump. But since he was a snake the whole time, it didn't work. Man, that would have been fucking great.
Yeah, again, I mean...
yeah, he was a snake, because reports have come out since everything that happened in the last 4 years, the vast majority of leaks that were coming out of the Trump White House were actually from Pence. If you don't think that your vice president leaking information to the media is the definition of being a snake, then I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't matter if you like the guy or not. You just have to think about it. Like, genuinely.
Yeah, again, it was worth it because I think that if he doesn't pick Pence in 2016, he doesn't win. Because I do think there were a lot of Republican voters who didn't like Trump, but they were looking for any reason to vote for him. And then he picked Pence, and it was like, okay, fine, I'll pick because of Pence, I guess. That's fine.
I completely agree with you. He was a great pick for what the situation demanded. It's why, this whole thing started because I was expressing disappointment that it turned out that he was a snake. I wish that he wasn't. Because he'd be perfect right now, But yeah, like I was saying, Austin, it doesn't have anything to do with anything else besides the majority of the leaks coming out of the Trump White House during his administration were coming from Pence. That's the definition of being a snake.
And I really wonder why he was doing it. Like, Trump saved his career. He barely won the election for governor of Indiana and was on track to lose re-election, according to a lot of people. Like, if Trump didn't pick him, his career might have just ended.
The only valid explanation for why he would do that is because he thought that people would galvanize around the concept that Trump was a crook and that he was a corrupt piece of shit. So Pence doing that was honorable and ethical and blah, blah, blah. So Pence would have been seen as the hero that the Republican Party needed because of everything that he did immediately following the election. And Pence believed this so strongly that he ran for president. And he was utterly fucking humiliated. At which point he realized, oh, I completely misread the room. Wow, I could not have been any more wrong if I tried. Boy, I really backed the wrong horse. I fucked that one up about as much as you could possibly fuck up. The only thing I wonder is if he regrets it to the point where if he had the benefit of hindsight, if he could have seen into the future and known what was going to happen, if he would have instead decided to just not do that.
Fuck.
Oh, that sucks.
Those turrets,
that kind of thing happens a lot in games like this.
Those turrets are fucking brutal.
Do missiles do anything to him?
Yeah. There we go. Okay. I'm still almost dead, but
yeah,
that's fine.
If you end up having to like reload from the checkpoint or anything, I would spam missiles with those things because if I remember correctly, if you've got a lock, the missile can kind of go around. He had no real choice but to certify the 2020 election, and that's the question: is what if he didn't? The answer is if he didn't, then they wouldn't have been able to certify it. So then the Supreme Court, having their hand forced, would have gotten involved. And since it's the exact same Supreme Court as the one that we have now, who's done such base things, getting rid of Roe v. Wade and all that other shit, they would have had no choice but to be like, well,
I mean,
I don't really think it's possible for Biden to get more votes than there are people.
I don't know if they would have. They had chances to get involved, and they decided not to. I think part of the reason why Pence did it is because he was like, well, I can kick it back to the states, but they're just going to kick it right back, and we're going to end up playing this stupid game over and over and over again, so...
Right, and that was exactly the thing, is everybody was just sitting there back and forth, being like, I don't want to be the one who does this. I don't want to be the one who goes down in the history books as having done this. It should have been the Supreme Court's call. And Justice Roberts said, we can't get involved the way that we did in 2000 because even though the scenario is very similar, and we have every fucking legal and constitutional right to be the ones to get involved and make a call here. Back in 2000, the last time we got involved, they didn't have riots in the country.
And also, what they did in 2000 was actually very similar to what they did in 2020. They kept the results as they were, because Al Gore was the one who wanted the recount, and the Supreme Court said, like, well, you can't have a recount because we don't have time, and if you do a recount in, like, what Gore wanted to do was get a recount in, like, 3 specific counties that he knew would be favorable to him. And Bush was like, well, if you get that, then we should get to recount the whole state so we can recount in counties that might be favorable to us, and we don't have time, and the Supreme Court agreed with that. So even there, they're keeping the status quo.
But, yeah, I would use missiles here, because you got a shitload.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Missiles are pretty good. 2 of them wipe them out.
But, yeah. Anyway, personally, what I think's going to happen is things keep swinging more and more towards the whole country being friendlier towards Trump and the right wing in general. At which point, suddenly there's a whole bunch of reports coming out about how much the 2020 election stank, to the point where when we're old men, the history books will say, you know, like have an asterisk next to Biden's presidency and be like, yeah, that 2020 election stank to high heaven. There's no fucking way. If the media didn't call the state for Gore so early, why did they do that? I'll give you 3 guesses.
Well, it's not just Florida, by the way. There were several states that Gore won by, like, less than 1%, like Wisconsin. And I want to say, God, was it Nevada? I can't remember which one. But there were other states that basically had a bunch of voters go home early before voting because it was announced that Gore won Florida. And they were like, well, if you won Florida, this election's obviously over, so let's just get out of here. Like, that may have cost him Wisconsin. That might have cost him a couple other states. So that whole thing's a rabbit hole. Oh, that's what killed me last time. These fire turrets. Bruh. Okay.
Be fair, you only had 11 HP, so like, anything hits you, you're gone. I don't know if other people got an ad break, because I did, but I don't know if my ad break timings are...
Oh, yeah, there was one. Yeah, there was one. Okay. But, yeah.
I have not been watching the RNC stuff at all, because I'm just like way too busy. Has Trump given his speech?
No,
yet?
he goes last. He goes tomorrow.
Okay.
Vance gave his tonight. Don Jr. gave his tonight, and he's not a very good speaker.
Yeah. It is what it is. Okay. Austin got ads at the same time that I did. Alright.
Shit. I may have made a mistake here. Wait a minute, how do I... Okay, I don't know how to kill this thing, and I know if it catches me, it'll hurt me. So how do I... where am I supposed to go from here? Is there someplace I'm supposed to, like, ball up on? I hate these fucking things. I guess it barely does any damage to me, but, like, there's something...
Footage is way behind for me because of those ads.
Aha! Found it. Found it.
I thought you were still fighting the fucking snake.
Okay, here we go. Found it. But yeah, tonight, who else? They had a bunch of Gold Star families that had family members killed because of actions and inactions of Biden. They had a 98-year-old World War II veteran speaking tonight. That was fun.
Trump winning 538-0. Because I mean, like, I really feel like that's going to be what has to happen, right? If Biden just sits there and stubbornly holds on and doesn't step down, then they're going to be like, well, fuck you then. I mean, we're going to lose anyway, so there's no shot we're going to waste the time trying to rig this thing for you.
Well, there have been some indications that they would just be like, well, let's just try to save the House and Senate as much as possible, because the money we spend here is money wasted.
And that's, yeah, that is something I definitely see happening too, where they rig the shit out of House and Senate races, but they just let the presidency go. And it'll be the exact opposite of what a ton of people are fucking expecting, where they're sitting there like, wait a minute, you're telling me that Trump actually wins and is so insanely popular that he wins by a fucking humongous landslide, but that he was a catastrophe down ticket because why? Like,
Yeah, I actually don't think that's likely to happen. I think that ticket splitting is basically dead, and everybody kind of knows it now. People vote straight 99% of the time, maybe a little bit in a state like Arizona. So I'm actually not really expecting that, but we will see.
I mean, I'm expecting that because of what you said, where they're going to write the White House off as a wash, but they're like, but we could still do Congress. So then they rig those races, and it's just way too fucking obvious. And it's all like, well, you guys made a horrible mistake because the guy who was like the most sensitive to rigging that you could possibly be is the guy who just became president. So he says, remember when I said I'd only be a dictator on my first day? Well, guess what, guys? It turns out they didn't win this race, they didn't win this race, they didn't win this race, they didn't win. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm just super glad that Mitch McConnell's retiring, too.
Yeah,
I heard that he got booed viciously at the RNC.
he did.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, he did some good stuff, but the left has done a really good job of making him extremely unpopular to the point where having him around anymore is toxic. Like, he is by far the most unpopular politician in America, I think. Like, significantly less popular than, Biden or Trump or Obama or Pelosi.
Amongst the general public, I would agree with that. However, I would say second place, and first place is just depending on who you are. You either hate Biden or Trump more. But everybody's second place is Mitch, I would agree.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he is smart, I will admit that. One of Trump's grandsons spoke at the RNC, Kai, which is his 17-year-old granddaughter. So that was actually kind of cool, because it wasn't expected.
Also, I heard that Matt Gaetz is bog maxing.
Yeah, he got like Botox or something. It was pretty fucking weird. He didn't look quite right.
That's hilarious.
Austin, he's not going to be the Senate Majority Leader, because if the Republicans take the Senate, they'll vote on a leader, and it's widely expected that there's no way he's going to win it. Rick Scott might get it. Josh Hawley might get it. Probably one of those two off the top of my head would get Senate leader. And it's just, the future is now, old man. Alright, save point up here. Let me get that first before I try to figure out where I'm supposed to go.
Bro, this is the best. I am so happy right now. Fucking Sam Hyde spent the day lighting up these people on Twitter, the fucking dick list. Oh, well, let's not cancel culture. Oh my god, I'm so fucking happy to see that. He just fucking blew the fuck up. You love to see it.
Okay, there's an energy spike over there. I have zero idea how to get over there. Like, that is really far away from me, game. I don't know why you keep telling me about that like I can do something about it. I can't. Jesus Christ.
Blessed tide.
Did you know there's only one world leader that has not visited the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem?
If I remember correctly, I saw it was two. One's Kim Jong-un, which is the one that everyone's
Yeah.
talking about. The second one is Assad in Syria.
Really? Okay. That one I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Everybody else. A lot of people were surprised Putin did it, but it's because he did it when he was running for president the first time, which was like almost 30 years ago. Well, hopefully he just fucks off into the sunset, because just like Joker was saying a couple of minutes ago, he's way more negative than positive.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why Republicans were underperforming in the Senate 2 years ago. The Democrats did a good job of pitching that, like, hey, a vote for a Republican senator is a vote for McConnell, so don't vote for Republican senators, even if you don't like Democrats, because you're giving McConnell more power. There is some expectation, although nothing even remotely official, that Barron might speak tomorrow. But the thing is, people have no idea what his politics are. Like, he might...
I genuinely could not imagine anything more heartbreaking than if he came out as just being like a regular Zoomer and having like the most lukewarm fucking takes possible.
Mm-hmm. Like,
After all the hyping of him being Augustus, if he came out and he was like, "Yeah, I'm basically George W. Bush," I'd be like, "Son of a bitch."
or a technocrat or something. And, like, if he's a groiper or something, then that's not going to play well for the RNC audience.
Yeah, the same people who like did a musical number celebrating Jews and then had some weird satanic fucking Hindu come out and do a Kali Ma fucking blood sacrifice shit. Whatever the fuck, yeah, like those people are fucking batshit insane lunatics. I have no idea. Like, dude, I genuinely felt like as I'm reading about some of this shit on Twitter, I'm like, were they intentionally trying to humiliate Trump? Like, is it like the number of people complaining about the fucking stupid slut that was there? I'm like, dude, she's the least bad part of this. Like,
Yeah, and I saw a take on X the other day that I really liked. It was basically like, the job of the Republican Party is to get as many voters as possible. That means expanding the tent as much as possible. Like, you shouldn't treat a political party like a church. You know, go to a real church if that's what you're looking for. And yeah, if your church allowed some stripper who has an OnlyFans and has gotten a bunch of abortions to speak, you might be like, hey, that's not right. You know, this is a church. We should be having actual believers in here. Especially if you're allowing them to speak in front of everybody. But that's not what a political party is. A political party is just trying to expand their base as much as possible. And I thought that was a good take. I haven't seen a single tweet for the last 2 days complaining about JD Vance. So all the people who were bitching about it just got over it instantly. Because there was plenty of bitching in the immediate aftermath.
Yeah, simple. It's because, they just make money from complaining and engagement farming, and then they realized that that wasn't playing all too well, so they decided, let me move on.
Like, the fact that JD Vance hated Trump 8 years ago and loves him now gives him something in common with a lot of people. A lot of people literally thought he was a Democrat plant to hand Hillary the presidency by default. Like, I know so many people who initially thought that he was running to ensure Hillary's victory in the general and be an agent of chaos.
Oh, another thing that's pissed me off when people are like, oh, it was staged, is they say, oh, Trump used the razor to cut his ear. That's why he messed up and he cut his face, too. When they talk about, like, the blood streaks on his face, there's a fucking picture of when he was on the ground with the Secret Service on top of him, and the blood from his ear is dripping down onto his face, and that's where the blood streaks came from. There's literally a picture of that fucking happening, and they're like, oh, he cut himself. And I'm all like, how fucking big of a cope lord that hates him, and they're desperately trying to think of a way that this isn't real? Do you have to be? Because, like, everybody admits that that picture is, like, the most badass thing ever. And everybody admits that this is obviously, like, he's just fucking in the bag now, after this event happened. And you see this shit, and it's just this insane cope. And it's like, you... really? Like... It's easier for you to believe that than to just believe that you were wrong? Really?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of posts today that were like, why haven't the medical records of the procedure performed on Trump's ear been released? And it's like, probably because they're really boring. Like, they already said there were no stitches involved. So it was actually probably a very simple thing that is not even, 1% interesting to anybody what they did. Like, there's probably nothing to say.
This is brutal. New Midnight Emerson poll came out. The same poll that had Pennsylvania +1 Biden now has Trump +5.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
And Trump generally gained about 7 or 8 points in every state. And he is now winning by at least 5 points in North Carolina, Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
There was a poll in Virginia this morning that said it was tied, that previously had Biden winning by 5. And Virginia would be a great way to just call it an early night. Like, if Trump wins Virginia, They may as well call the election right there, and that's going to be an early call
Right.
because it's East Coast.
Right. Yeah, and Pennsylvania will be coming in at the same time. So when New York looks too close to call, they call it for Virginia and they call it for Pennsylvania in the same 30-minute time frame. Then it's like, yeah, this one's over.
Mm-hmm. Haven't had an early night in a while.
For real. Oh my god. 2016 could have easily been an early night if it wasn't for how hard the media did not want Donald Trump to win and how hard they did want Hillary to win.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just like the milquetoast election to end all milquetoast elections and like no one gave a shit about, 2016 would have been an early night. Because there was no reason to have gone on as long as it did. Like, he was obviously winning Pennsylvania the entire night, and they just kept saying, but wait, Hillary's gonna... And it's like, they already counted every vote in Philadelphia. Why do you think that this is gonna flip? They're like, it can still happen, and they called Pennsylvania, like... Fuck, I want to say they did it like 11 at night, our time. It's like, they could have called it at 11 at night their time, dude. Like...
Well, yeah, but Virginia gets to 95% of votes counted pretty early, relatively speaking. Like the last two elections, it's been called for Hillary and Biden relatively early in the night. Like, I think Hillary won it by 5 and Biden won it by 10. Now, granted, I think what's the area of Virginia that's gone super, super blue?
Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia.
DMV.
Yeah, the DMV, they count that last. So what has happened both times is that Trump has taken a big lead early because they count the other areas first, and then Northern Virginia gives it back to either Clinton or Biden, depending on which election you're talking about. But they still get to like 95% plus of the vote in pretty quickly. I'm from the DMV area and it's moving Trump. Yeah, but there's a lot of movement to make. I mean, that is deep, 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 deep blue stuff. Like, they've got a lot of work to do. It's like, there was a poll that recently came out that had, I want to say, San Diego was tied. Like, San Diego was tied between Biden and Trump. But like, California still has a lot more work to do if they actually want to flip red. Like, we are nowhere near that. So, it's one of those things where it's going to happen in stages.
Razorfist quote, Biden has had more bad nights than a stripper with a C-section scar. Oof. Vaporized.
Here's my question. Do they eventually invoke the 25th Amendment? Because a couple weeks ago, Nate Silver laid out, like, an order of operations for how things might go with Biden. Like the of trying to get him out. And we're actually pretty far along in the process that he described. And he basically said, I think this eventually ends with them invoking the 25th. The next step would be that the staffers start to resign. Like, if we start to see Biden staffers resign, maybe even some of them come out and admit what is obvious to most of us, that would be like the beginning of the end.
The problem is, it's been obvious to anybody with a brain for long before now. Fucking pisses me off. But I don't think that they will do that 25th Amendment thing. Or at the very least, if they do, they'll regret it. Because once that genie's out of the bottle, there's no putting him back in. In the same way that from now on, every single president is just going to throw their political opponents in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Biden. From now on, any time the party doesn't like the president, even if it's the same exact party, they'll just 25th him. So now VP picks, instead of being assassination insurance, are going to be 25th Amendment insurance. Like fucking, if Joe could do it over again as running mate, it'd be fucking Bernie.
What was the reaction to Amber Rose? I mean, it was like, I think people were okay with it. They get it. I think people understood the point that, like, she is speaking to an audience that Republicans will never be able to speak to.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
And she really does help bridge the gap. People are able to see the usefulness there. It feels awkward, and it feels like you don't want this person who has a sexual tattoo on their fucking forehead. You don't really want this person talking to you. However, she dressed conservatively, so she at least tried to meet you halfway. And there were a lot more embarrassing people there, like the fucking Kali Ma fucking Hindu blood cult death chant fucking shit. That was way worse. So
Yeah.
I have to feel like they did that shit on purpose to try to make the Amber Rose thing look better, because people don't criticize that anywhere near as much. If that was the only bad thing that happened, then people would be way more fucking upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Hindus. I want to be clear about that. I actually think Hindus are fine. But it is such a small religion, it is so weird you're pandering to them. There might be like 5 Hindus in that entire building. I read something once that statistically it's like
one
the 14th.
of them is the wife of the vice president.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, they're like the 14th biggest religion in America or something. It's like, you don't need to, like, work. You don't need to try to appeal to these people. There's not enough of them for it to really matter.
What's even more wild is how many Indians there are in the country. If it's the 14th biggest religion, then that means all those Indians aren't practicing. Which means they're just like a lot of Muslims in the country, where they literally just use that shit as a cudgel to fucking just attack you anytime that they may think that they'll win the diversity bigotry points. But then when it comes to actually being a Muslim, they're like, fuck yeah, I eat pork and drink beer. Okay. Have fun explaining that one to Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, you don't have to be a traditionalist to be a conservative or a Republican, and that's actually one of the biggest sticking points that a lot of people have right now, is because you should be a fucking traditionalist to be a conservative. It's in the fucking name, but you're not conserving anything. You're doing the exact same weird shit as the left is, but you're doing it slower. It's like, anybody who likes the way that things used to be, they're without a country, so to speak, because no one is trying to go back. Down this gay Marxist future, which is so stupid.
Yeah, I saw some tweets that were like former Republicans or you know old school Republicans being like, well, now that he picked Vance, I guess I have to vote for Biden. And then the next day they're like, oh, Biden just advocated for term limits for SCOTUS members, so I think I have to come back. Because I don't know if you saw that, but I guess Biden is going to try to propose term limits and ethics clause or morality clause or something for SCOTUS members. Now, it's DOA, but some people think he's trying to appeal to, like, far-left people at the end of his term. Like, literally, the SCOTUS could just rule no on it, and there's nothing he can do. So, it's super DOA. Like, I saw a lot of posts the
People
other
don't
day.
want to go back to slavery and crap, dude. Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
shit. I just realized where I'm supposed to go. I see it now. God damn. Why did it take me so long to spot that thing? Now, how do I get under here?
I actually do feel really bad for Zoomers and certain people who are young enough to where they're actually too young that they can't remember when things didn't used to be shit. So they don't understand why people want to go back to when things didn't used to be shit.
Yeah. I don't think Zoomers are bad, though. Like, Zoomers are actually seem like they're...
Right, they're not. I'm just sitting there like, I feel bad for them because like they have no idea what they missed out on. We were right there, man.
Okay, so obviously we have to get down there, but how? When in doubt, scan it out.
I love this. I fucking love this. I love this guy. Alaric the Barbarian, I follow him on Twitter. And his take on the whole thing, because he's been fucking legendary on people too. And he was like, what did you think you have 1 year meant? Vibes? Papers? Essays? What the fuck did you think we were talking about? Like, I think we got another ad break.
Oh.
But if we did, that's fine, because I was just going to say something to you anyway, and I don't care if Jed hears me or not. Again, man, my big fucking sticking point with this shit is, if you're on this fucking shit now, how in shit's name are you going to have the stomach for mass deportations? How are you going to have the stomach to do what you actually have to do to take this country back? How are you going to have the stomach to call out international Jewry? How are you going to have the stomach to call out all the batshit insane stuff and the highly corrupt and fucking borderline war crime shit that this administration has performed and the prosecution of the war in Ukraine? Like, there were so many insane, fucked up things that have to get fixed. And fixing them is going to take a long time, and it's going to be a very tough fight, and it's going to be more than just hurt feelings. People's lives are going to be destroyed. But that's the price that you have to pay to fix things, you know? So it's like, how the fuck are you going to have the stomach to do that if right now you're upset about somebody getting fired for something they absolutely should get fired for?
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? I found where I thought I was supposed to go, but it's just a missile expansion. So I still don't know where I'm supposed to go at this point. All
Hey,
right.
to be fair, more missiles. It's always good.
I am happy about that, but I do like the map in this game, though. I feel like the map actually does a pretty good job of...
Yeah. So yeah, you've been reading lore about how the Chozo are like this awesome warrior race, and Samus is like genetically modified or part Chozo or some sort of shit like that, so he has a thick fragrance.
Right. So, Joyanne Reed on MSNBC today was trying to say that if Biden survives cancer, maybe they could portray that as being equivalent to Trump surviving getting shot.
Are you fucking kidding me? That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Cause see, this is when all the people, oh man, the Trump shooting was staged, and I'm all like, you hear shit like that, and where that's gonna lead is something to do with Biden is gonna be staged at this point, because they're like, we want one too, like.
I mean, unironically, I think it's very easy to believe the COVID thing is an excuse so he can go hide for a couple weeks.
Well, I just logged into my alt so that I could read Razorfist's page, and he had that exact take. It was like he had COVID in 2022, and all that meant was that he fucked off for a few weeks so the media could campaign for him, and they just used COVID as the excuse.
If it's real, then Biden is 100% old enough to actually die from it. Like, that's believable.
The snacks blame gay people for Marxism. No, I blame Jews. What kind of question is that? Some like 90% of the Bolsheviks that fought in the Russian Revolution were Jews. Most especially the fucking psychopaths who fucking murdered the Tsar's family. The only thing gay people really do is just spread disease. Beyond that, they're useful idiots. That's the extent of...
Oh, and so Boogie finally admitted that he was lying about cancer. Although he, to be clear, he genuinely believed that he had cancer. So he's not lying about it so much as he didn't do the due diligence. And he's been kicked off his show for the time being because, regardless of the context...
Was that for the self-harm thing? Like he whipped out the knife?
Yeah.
The snacks think we fought the wrong enemy in World War II. Unironically, I'm a big Patton enthusiast. He literally said those words, and then he got fucking killed for it. I don't know if you've heard about that one, Brendan. Obviously, you probably heard about Patton's death, but did you hear that after he died, they decided not to do an autopsy, and they buried him immediately?
I did not know that.
And it's like, well, if he died in a car crash, why wouldn't you do an autopsy? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that his driver said the crash didn't kill him.
Can they exhume the body and check now? Or is it too late?
Way too late. Unless it was something exceptionally obvious, like, you know, you just probably just be bones by now. You pull out the skeleton, there's just a big bullet hole in the fucking head. You'd be like, well, it was obvious. If it's not that, then you're like, ah, shit.
Uh-oh.
Bro. Who knew that when Indians said that India would be a superpower by 2020, it's because they were 4 years off and India will become a superpower by conquering America with J.D. Vance's wife?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
See, what's weird is that J.D. Vance didn't run,
Mm-hmm.
and I say that because Vivek ran. And J.D. Vance and Vivek are very close
Mm-hmm.
because Vivek and J.D. Vance's wife went to like the same Indian person, like here in the United States. But in the same way that they're black colleges, their colleges are like almost catered towards Indians.
Right.
That they went to that same school, and they're so close that they named one of their children after Vivek.
I think.
So I'm like, I'm kind of surprised that if they're that close, I'm like, why wasn't JD Vance more involved in that whole thing?
Well, he had just gotten elected senator. Maybe he's like, I don't want to run for president yet. I just got here.
I don't know a ton about JD Vance, but the next thing I was gonna say is, well, why didn't he work more with Vivek's campaign? I'm like, for all I know, he did. I don't hardly know anything about Vance, so. Oh, I love this tweet too. It says, point of view, you took the high road instead of crushing the people who want you dead. And it's a picture of 4 neoconservatives giving a thumbs up. Jeb Bush, John McCain, Mitt Romney, and Paul Ryan. Like, yep, they took the high road. Those are those honorable Republicans that Bill Maher admires because they lost.
Yeah, you know that, I guess you could call it a meme that's like, she's not gonna fuck you. When people start simping for like a girl or something, and you're just like, dude, she's not gonna fuck you.
This doesn't, it's very, very minor, the relation to what you just said, but I actually have a story that I need to tell you that you reminded me of, but go ahead.
Right, that's what it reminds me of with some of these principled conservative. It's like except instead of they're not going to fuck you, it's like, they're not going to vote for you, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the definition of cold posting. So what it was is that today during lunch, for the last 2 days, we're doing Prime Days, right?
Right.
And while that's going on, because it's like the Christmas for Amazon, it's the busiest fucking shit of the year. They do very special events. During lunch, they went to Costco and got pizza for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they had games that they were doing stuff like they brought in a couple of arcade machines, some pinball machines. They set up a very large, because they wanted to say that it was an opportunity to do bowling because they had a really long hallway. So it wasn't real bowling because they don't want people to get hurt. So they just had, it was like the really large pins that are like foam or like air filled or whatever, and then the like an indoor bowling kind of a thing. Other stuff. So anyway, I'm chilling out in this one break area, and this girl sits down next to me. And this girl, like, I really don't like her because she comes off as being way too young to me, to the point where I look at her and I think that she's a teenager. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this girl, because I just view it as being like a humongous trap. However, a lot of dudes simp for this girl to a pathetic extent. For instance, there's this one guy who, this particular girl, she stays every day until 8 because she wants that overtime instead of leaving at 7:30.
Right.
And this guy leaves every day at 7:30, but he literally waits at the front for no other reason than just to be able to meet up with her once she finishes the day, so that he can talk to her for like 30 seconds afterward. She's not interested in him at all, but he's continuing to try, and he's just simping so hard. And he even called himself a simp, and his friend was like, yeah, you're a pretty big fucking simp, dude. Like, I'm actually kind of really losing a lot of respect for you here. So anyway, this girl, as I'm chilling out in the break room and eating the pizza, this girl, like, my table's abandoned, it's just me there. That's how I like it, so that I can focus on what I'm doing instead of having to, like, contain my power level or some shit. Like, I don't like when people just come up and try to talk to me, especially not when I'm eating. I hate talking with my mouth full.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just chilling out, and then this girl sits down, and she sits down on the opposite end of the table from me, so that the empty chair to my left, she could put her feet up, and she took her shoes off. But, like, she puts her feet up there, and it's fucking bare feet, and like, I'm sitting there being sickened because of the smell, and I'm like, oh fuck me, I'm trying to eat. So I'm like, oh shit. So like, I get up and move from the table, but as I'm leaving, the only thing I can think of is that one guy who called feet grippers. And I'm like, I was like, man, Joker would love this, because like
Jesus.
I'm like, man, if Joker was here right now, this would be like the best part of the celebration to have.
Hmm.
Oh god. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck she was thinking. Like, it's one of those cases, you know, when you're a young woman and you're attractive enough to where a lot of dudes are just constantly simping all over you. It's like you can do insane shit and get away with it that you have no business doing. Because I'm like, who the fuck would just go barefoot in a public place like that? Just put their feet up right next to somebody who's trying to eat. I'm like, what the hell's the matter with you? Like, I didn't ask for this. Good lord.
Oh, yeah, okay. So unrelated, but have you heard any of the stuff from the finale of The Acolyte?
No. You gotta remember, I hated seeing all the shit that people were talking about on Twitter about that fucking show. So I straight up added it to the block list of words on my filter thing to my profile. So I have no idea. I don't watch shit.
Alright, so one of the subplots of the series was that the Sith, I guess Acolyte, I think that's the right word, yeah, Acolyte, had an assignment from her master, or the Sith Lord or whatever, to be like, okay, you have to kill this Jedi you have to kill a Jedi without using a weapon. And she's been trying to accomplish that during the entire series. And in the final episode, she does it by doing a forced choke. And I guess it's implied that it's like the first forced choke in the history of the Star Wars universe or something. Like, people are like, oh my god, she just created fire over here or something. And Darth Plagueis cameos in the episode. Watching the lesbian space witches create the life with the Force. So basically now the canon is that he learned how to create Anakin by watching the lesbian space witches.
No, bro, he didn't fucking have homo sex with Palpatine to make Anakin. No.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. And so, first of all, that. Second of all, that's insanely retarded and yet again contradicts the established canon. The idea that that's the first Force choke ever and it's within living memory of fucking Palpatine, that's complete bullshit because Force chokes existed thousands of years beforehand in the Knights of the Old Republic era.
Yeah. Like,
which Lucas confirmed as being canon. That is Lucas saying that it's canon, not Disney. Lucas. And this is the funny thing with Star Wars is that when it comes to Star Wars, there's different levels of canon. There's the movies, which is anything that contradicts the movie is just pure bullshit. And yeah, that is just pure and total bullshit. Then underneath the movies, there's the expanded universe where things get trickier because there's a ton of stuff in there. But if Lucas says that something is of a higher canonic quality than anything else, then anything that contradicts that is bullshit. So Lucas says expanded universe, Knights of the Republic game, and anything to do with the game, you know, books, TV shows, cartoons, whatever. All that sort of shit is much higher up on the canon level than something that Disney says that it's canon, because Lucas is word of God. Disney is word of Satan. So yeah, that's total bullshit. That is, none of that shit makes any sense. Plus, again, how the fuck can Darth Plagueis watch lesbian space witches scissor life into existence? And then he's like, this gives me an idea. How? On what planet? How the fuck do you take that as a concept and roll with it? What?
Yoda also shows up at the end.
Of course he does.
Because reasons. And it also seems to be that he very much has every opportunity to realize that the Sith have returned, but I guess forgets by the time of the Phantom Menace.
Yoda kind of just forgot.
Yeah, just like they did with Ki-Adi-Mundi. Like, Ki-Adi-Mundi, I mentioned that a month or two ago. Yeah. They had him see the Sith.
That's, you wouldn't be able to pick up on it because you didn't watch it, but I was referencing Game of Thrones there. Because this is the modern day explanation for when retarded shit happens, is that the show creators just say they kind of forgot. And they say that because in the final season of the show, one of Daenerys' dragons gets killed, and it gets killed by a fleet. But the thing is that she's already seen the fleet. She knows its position. She knows that it's there. And more to the point, she knows that the fleet is armed specifically with high-powered spear guns that they developed specifically in an attempt to try to kill her dragons.
Right.
They had used it on her unsuccessfully previously a number of times, not just once, but multiple times. So there's an episode where she gets ambushed by the fleet, even though, again, she knows where their exact location is, and then they shoot and kill one of her dragons. Everyone was confused, so the show creators, in an effort to explain it, literally said the words, Daenerys kind of just forgot that they were there.
At least they're honest, I guess.
But they didn't say that in response to the people being retarded. Or rather, in response to the people said that this was retarded, online being like, this is the dumbest shit that I've ever seen. They said that in the post-episode interview because they knew that it was bad writing, and they're like, oh shit, how do we explain this? And like, Daenerys just kind of forgot that they were there. And it's like, that's probably the worst characterization I've ever heard of in my life. Because even if she doesn't remember that they're there, why would she get closer when she knows that they're armed with the fucking guns that try to kill a dragon? Like, God, it's terrible. So then they come up with that shit. Yoda just kind of forgot. And I'm like, this is really where we're at right now. The writing is bad, and they know it's bad, so they try to excuse it by saying, well, they just kind of forgot. What a crock of lace shit.
So ends yet another piece of Star Wars slop.
More to the point, while they tried like hell to psyop everybody into thinking that it was doing well, that it was successful, it is not. And the reason it's not is because in the last week, 2 weeks, the news that's talking about The Acolyte is talking about its failure as a show. Literally the headlines, why did The Acolyte fail? And that makes sense if it's ending, because they're talking about, okay, retrospective, now that the series is over, why did The Acolyte not succeed? And what they mean is, why didn't audiences like it? Why didn't it make money? So it's like, oh, so that shit about The Acolyte is, the most popular, blah, blah, blah. And then you realize the statistic they're using is people mentioning it on social media. And it's like, yeah, what they're all mentioning is that it fucking sucks!
Right.
You can't be serious. Big Country says, did you see Jerry's comment? Who? Jerry Sandusky's?
No, he's talking about Mariners stuff.
Okay. It would have been cooler if it was Sandusky.
True. I was saying Boo Earns.
For real. Alright. So, do you think that the Miami Marlins are going to turn it all around?
I can't say I do.
Yeah, they're 33-63. Matter of fact, let me check. The only team in baseball with more losses than the Marlins, Chicago White Sox, who have 71. Black.
Absolutely filthy.
You know what? If they really do bring back Skin's name, then I really hope they rename the Guardians back to the Indians, because Guardians is the worst. Fucking,
Yeah.
that is so slop. That is so slop.
I'm Mr.
It's crazy. I don't even know why people freak out over like Prime Day. Oh my god, there's so much blah 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 sales and blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, the sales aren't even that good.
Better than a kick in the ass.
Alright, never mind. I bought a toilet seat cover a couple weeks ago for 15 bucks. It's on sale right now. If I bought it now, it would have been 5. Like, you know what? I would have appreciated having that $10 more. Like, if you have to buy something, I definitely understand saving it for a time like this, because wow, I did not realize that. Those deals are way better than you get on Black Friday.
There were a lot of unfortunate comments being made about Donald Trump's grandson tonight in the streams I was in. Or granddaughter, excuse me.
Oh, that makes sense. Because apparently Rye Guy was apologizing earlier because he didn't realize that he was a minor.
Yeah.
So, if Rye Guy fell for it, I'm sure somebody else did. Next, why did USA recruit Embiid? So they could have an excuse to lose.
They actually did good today, but I don't think Embiid did anything.
My Marxist if I believe women should have equal opportunity, and if I believe slavery was wrong, and segregation and lynching, and if I believe gay people should have a right to exist. I don't think you're Marxist, I think you're gay. But...
Are you a homosexual?
Also, there's some things that women should not have equal opportunity for, and I truly do not care who you are or what kind of argument you make. I will never back away from that opinion. And we see a perfect example of that with July 13th. Women should not have an equal opportunity to become a Secret Service agent, because if you are a 5'4" female, you have no business guarding a 6'3" president. Period. I don't care if you're really super good at being a cop. I don't care if you're really super good at being security. I don't care.
What? Yeah. What if they were like Lucy Lou's guardian bodyguards in Kill Bill or something? Like they're small, but they're ninjas. Would that be okay?
I mean, you know, that's up to the Shogun. But
Ooh, all right. I think this is the boost ball. Yes, I got the boost ball.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Press and hold B to charge the ball.
Embiid's game doesn't translate to Euroball. That makes sense, because the thing with Embiid is that he's a 7-foot-tall James Harden. So really good outside shooter, pathetic on the interior, not strong at all, and just flops and tries to get free throws. Now, Euroball does enjoy outside shooting, but you can't just flop and try to get free throws in Euroball. It doesn't work the same way as it does in the NBA. That's why, like, even though James Harden is fucking phenomenal and a great player and all that kind of shit, I just don't think that people would have wanted him around Team USA, you know?
Austin,
Let me see
I
if he was
think,
on the 20.
yeah, Austin, I think he meant gay in terms of like the other sense of the word, you know? Like when you say something is gay, you know, like I have to go to gay soccer practice later today.
Yeah.
You're not saying that
Yeah.
like the soccer
I'm
practice likes to have sex with men.
right. I'm looking at it right now, and James Harden, in fact, was not on the 2016 team.
Huh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's nowhere to be seen there. I don't even think he was considered. No, he was. Okay, good.
When Embiid was drafted, one of the things about him was that he was supposed to be like a generational defensive player because of his blocking ability. So the fact that he's unable to become a complementary piece now is pretty disappointing.
And simultaneously hilarious. Okay, James Harden was only on Team USA in 2012. And the reason he was on the team in 2012 is because they needed people to be on the bench. And James Harden had basically proven that he was like the best bench guy in the league at that point. What's wrong with him having equal opportunity like everyone else? Austin, how many jobs have you had in your life and how old are you? And the reason I'm asking that is because it may not be an answer that you like to hear, because when I was young I didn't like to hear it either, but when you really do have more life experience and go through things, you start to see, man, just there's a pretty common recurring repeating pattern there that you're like, I really just don't want to fucking have to deal with this. You know, we would be way better off if.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot. These guys get hyped as the next Mutombo defensively, and then it doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, like it's happening with Wembanyama right now, because people, oh my god, he's so amazing. He's gonna win like 8 Defensive Player of the Year awards because look at all those shot blocks. He's been getting fucking humiliated in international ball, man.
I'm genuinely surprised we handled Serbia so well. I thought they were actually going to get us.
I thought Jokic was on a mission. 24, yeah, like, and how many jobs have you had? That's the big one, because like if you're 24 but you had like a bunch of jobs, you know, it's a little different. And also, I would say what kind of jobs too, because like, if you've only had the chance to work a fast food job, it's a different story than my kinds of experience. Like the job I'm working right now at Amazon during this Prime Days thing, people have been ordering such heavy shit. I had 3 different times today. I had to fucking save a broad who was trying to lift like a 50-pound box. The box was almost heavier than she was, and she damn near fucking fell over and fucking hurt herself. So I had to come out of fucking nowhere and pick the fucking thing up for her. And like as I'm picking it up, it's a 50-pound box, and I'm like, this doesn't feel all that heavy to me, but you know. I believe everyone should have equal opportunity. And that's what I'm trying to say is I know what you mean by equal opportunity. But like if the job says that you have to be capable of lifting over 50 pounds, but you can't, why the fuck are you working there? The answer is so that they can have you do all the easy stuff, and then I'm the one that has to do the hard stuff. I don't want to spend the entire day lifting 50-pound packages, but that's usually what ends up fucking happening because I'm a man. And then she's a woman, and the box is fucking bigger than she is.
That reminds me of that clip that was circulating on Twitter. There was like some woman who was in the army carrying a bag of trash, and she slung it over her shoulder, and the momentum of the bag made her flip over. And like, yeah, you know, this is somebody in the fucking army.
Yeah.
You've seen the clip, right?
Right, and I remember seeing that shit too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen it. That was hilarious. The time I worked in construction, don't even get me started on the fucking shit that I had to deal with in terms of women that were there. I agree with that. That's completely different. But it's not, because this is what you're talking about. You're talking about equal opportunity across the board. I'm trying to tell you why equal opportunity across the board doesn't fit. Because when there are exceptions, that's when you get to the point, because this is the problem. Anytime you say we need to have this, anytime you say we need to have that, you can't be looking out for exceptions. Because if you do, people will make excuses to try to explain why it's an exception. You know, if I don't want a woman to be an executive, to serve on the board of executives, I deny her that opportunity by saying, well, every now and again, an executive needs to lift a 50-pound package. Look at that. I just managed to make it so that no woman can be an executive at my company. But that's fucked up and wrong, isn't it? But where does it end? Where does it stop? You know, and this is the problem. Like, you're not allowed to legally racially discriminate anymore, but people easily still can. Because if you're a hiring director and you whip out a resume and you see the name on the resume says Jaquan Watts, you're going to throw that thing in the trash because you don't like black people. Well, you're not allowed to do that. It's illegal to not hire somebody just because they're black, but no one knows that you did it. And if anyone asks why you threw that resume out, you can make up any excuse that you want. I didn't like his work history, or there was something in the wording that I felt was a little suspicious. Wasn't sure that someone like that should work at this facility. People come up with mealy-mouthed excuses. You're never going to stop that kind of discrimination. However, what you also need to consider is what I've been bringing up, which is perfectly valid fucking cases where you don't want someone working at your job.
Ugh.
Right. So at the end of the day, that's what I sit here and say. Is I'm like, look, you know, the people who shouldn't discriminate in terms of hiring should be the government. However, that shouldn't be across the board either, because the Secret Service is a government job, and you bet your ass you should fucking discriminate on that one. The military is government jobs, and you should discriminate there. More administrative government stuff. The DMV shouldn't discriminate for people working there. But if you're a private company, fuck yeah. Just let me ask you a question. If a fucking Nazi starts up a pizza place called Adolf's Pizzas, why the fuck would a black guy even want to work there in the first place?
Probably, maybe a black person who believes that black people are the true children of God.
Just be a horrifying mess. You know, it's like people just trying to bait out a fucking lawsuit. And that's the whole point of everything that I'm trying to get at. I'm like, you're asking a question where you're trying to get a specific answer, but that specific answer doesn't exist. You know? Because the world just doesn't work that way, and life doesn't work that way.
Alright, so the next thing I think I'm getting is the space boots. I don't know if you saw this, because this was a couple nights ago, but the head of the Teamsters gave a speech at the RNC on, I think it was day one.
I heard, and a lot of folks are like, yeah, I couldn't believe they let some communist get up there and preach his union gobbledygook. And I was like, are you fucking stupid? How do you not realize the opportunity you see there? It's like the same thing with the Amber Rose thing, but like I could understand that just because of the way that she looked. Like literally having a sexual reference on a tattoo on your forehead, that's a horrible look. But here you've got the leader of the Teamsters, and if you can't understand the opportunity in front of you there, then like you deserve to fucking lose. Like just please vote for RFK, fuck off. Don't need you here, dickless. Like the vast majority of union membership is right wing. But the vast majority of union leadership is left wing because they get paid by left wing politicians to do stuff. So they make money by being left wing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always going to be left wing. Here you see an opportunity where the politics has changed enough to where this may actually change, which is huge because number one, Trump was way better for labor than fucking Biden has been. And that's not even fucking close. So like unions should want the fucking guy to win. Number one. Number two, if union leadership was right wing, they'd be more reflective of their actual membership. Representation would make more sense. And a lot of people have the opportunity to join a union, but don't because they're worried, unions have that reputation of being left wing. All you gotta do is be like, hey, you know what? It's really easy to change the mindset and the reputation about unions in the country. It's real simple. You just need one sentence. A union is a corporation that sells labor. Suddenly, all that communism stuff goes to the wayside.
I mean, the people,
and people
who
can
are
think about it and like, hey, yeah.
Yeah, the people who are complaining about it are like old school conservatives who are still like, party of Reagan. What happened to this party? Why are we supporting leftist talking points about, corporations? And it's like, well, that's kind of where we are now.
Right.
Like,
but those same exact people had no problem with the Vishnu fucking blood chant. They didn't have any problem with the fucking weird Jewish musical number that they did. They didn't have any problem with the fucking prostitute. They got a problem with the union guy, and I'm like, you guys, holy shit.
I think someone on X said that on economic issues, J.D. Vance is closer to Elizabeth Warren than he is to Ronald Reagan. And it's like, that's probably true, but like Reagan-era policies aren't going to fly anymore, I don't think. Like, that's an old era. Like, things have to be done a little differently now. It was a nice run, but there's a realignment going on right now. And there are people who feel like they're being left behind and have no party to go to. It's like, yeah, you are being left behind.
Get the chance, man, read this Sam Hyde post. It is unfathomable.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, I've already seen it. If he posted it earlier
really
today.
long wall of text.
Yeah,
that he did post earlier today.
Yeah, that was all over my feed. Yeah,
it was big time. Good stuff.
I mean, Mitt Romney actually did a pretty good job of trying to approximate, Reaganism in the modern era, and he lost fairly decisively because that just isn't a message that resonates anymore.
Yeah. Could agree with that. Alright, I'm going to close your stream tab.
Yeah, I'm not going to be going too much longer here. Mostly just want to get to this save point because I have a very good feel for what I need to do next in the game, and I want to leave it like that. Because I know that next time I play the game, I'm like, okay, I need to go get the space boots, and those are somewhere in the Talon 4 overworld. I can, do that. The issue I'm having in this game is that when I stop playing it and come back a day later or 2 days later, I don't really remember what I was doing. Because of the way the game is structured.
Holy Christmas, I go to the comments on that same hype post and it's literally just a fucking gallery of my entire follow list, everyone just being like, hell yeah. You'll love to see the cooperation among mutuals. Yeah, it's wild that the fucking Doom 2 creator is one of the guys who's been fucking posting that slop today. Just one guy's like, the guy got famous for making a game about killing demons is now upset when demons get sad because they lost their job.
Yeah, the fucking guy who made Five Nights at Freddy's got banished from his own franchise because people found out that he donated money to Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. Some guy donated $25 to Kyle Rittenhouse's defense fund and got kicked off the police force. These are things that are...
Yeah. I read a story about a guy who lost his job and basically became unemployable in his industry because he donated $50 to Derek Chauvin's defense fund.
Mm-hmm. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for tonight. I just wanted to make some progress. And we did. We got the boost ball, and we're going to get the space boots soon. So, thanks for coming out, everybody. I will see you guys, later today. And everyone have a good night.